supplements, they hide the truth, all these generalizations, I mean, it's overwhelming us, it's brainwash. It's just to get us to feed into the system. All that's there. But the saddest part is a lot of actors and actresses. I will mention one guy who I liked a lot, Larry Wilcox from Chips. Remember John and Punch?
Yeah.
John. We worked with him, but you know, he says, Greg, if you want me to do something for you, you got to pay me through my agent. I'm just, you know, I'll say you're a great doctor, give me an endorsement and everything, but I won't push your technology unless you give me $500,000. And he's not, you know, nobody even knows who he is. I'm surprised, you know. But that's the way it is in Hollywood. You know, they're out for the buck, unfortunately, not for the, you know, setting a good example necessarily. So here's the bottom line to all this: release as much energy as genetically possible per bite of food. Have you heard of the latest epidemic besides drug addiction? It's called slowing metabolism. That's the new buzzword. What kind of metabolism did you have? What
Slow.
Slow what? Which number?
I'm not really sure. I'm just
Number
looking
one.
at the foods these.
One.
Slow one. Yeah, see, your wife. See, really? So,
SBREIA knows.
all we want to do is for everybody. Oh, wait, was that? I missed that. Linda knows something I didn't know. Oh. At any rate, yeah, no, so the whole point is, for every bite of food you take, more energy will be released if you do this right. When it's not, you store it as fat, nutrients don't get used by cells, cells don't regenerate. I mean, all the processes of the body don't work as well. You age quicker, you have more disease propensities, depending on, you know, what things are out of balance, you're going to develop certain diseases. Genetic history plays into this, but even Time Magazine, when it talked about genes, said that really your fate, 95% of your fate's in the hand of your metabolism anyway. You got to balance that out before you talk about what the genes really want. Because the tools of the genes are the digestion, absorption, utilization, elimination. And if they're off because of all these biochemical inconsistencies, doesn't matter what your genes say. It matters what you do with your metabolism to give your genes what they want. It's a perfect living condition. So, increasing metabolism, more energy per bite of food. That means you'll be able to eat more without getting food. That's what that really means. A lot of people. Okay, so it's really simply all about, we okay on time? Okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
It's all about things that speed metabolism up and things that slow it down. Energy stimulating, nutrients, monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, cis fats. You've heard of saturated fats, trans fats slow you down. That's why it's actually not bad to cut your saturated fat down sometimes. Certain aminos speed things up, certain vitamins, most importantly the minerals, certain things slow it down. And we see in you, calcium slows your metabolism down, right? Calcium right there. You had too much calcium, not enough of these. That's all it is. That's what that weight chart on the Fox video was all about. They researched it. They said, oh my God, yeah, things that, yeah, I told them, I tried to explain it to them. And the producer says, I said, oh God, who knows what they're going to do. They're probably just going to say, I'm Mr. American and leave it at that or something. Because that's what they usually do, you know. They don't get into the meat of the matter. They went out and got the science book with the atomic weight chart and tried to explain this law of opposites. I know you don't like Fox, but I applaud them for doing that anyway. It's okay. Okay, so by maximizing metabolism, we're going to increase your body's ability to perform all life-sustaining and performance-promoting biochemical processes. Does that sound like a bad thing, guys?
No.
Okay, thank you. You're going to see. He's my best friend. I don't even know you, hardly. You're my
New future hero.
Oh, thank you.
After this, we'll be in contact.
Oh, absolutely. I know you're going to keep an eye on me. Yeah, so it's all about that, maximizing metabolism.
Right, Dan?
And then, of course, superior fitness, greater mental and physical outputs, more energy, more availability of the nutrients, faster. You know, people, like you saw with me with the different shapes I got into for different sports and excelling in sport, quicker recovery. So athletes, it's, you know, it's a godsend, okay? All right, here's a thank you letter. I hope you can see this from Peter Roth from the '84 Olympics. You don't think our Olympic team people know this? I just spoke at the Strength and Human Performance Expo a couple of years ago. They won't have anybody hawking products speak for them, only the test because they know. Here's a letter, a thank you letter from Peter Roth. Okay, this is what all the big boys and girls in sports do. Obviously it's for everybody, but you know, athletes really want to do this. So he sent me a letter, which I appreciate. And just so you know. So what are we up to? What's the bottom line? Detect, correct, utilize, and recheck. So we detect what's wrong with you, like we did with Dan and Maria. We correct what the disturbances found with precisely applied biocorrective nutritional medicine. It's a mouthful. And then we personally, you're gonna need something different than me, you're gonna need something different than him, although I think you guys wanna eat the same thing or something, I don't know. No? Okay. And then recheck. Just like you would, you know, the doctor says your cholesterol's high, we're gonna put you on these meds, we test you in a couple months or so, see if it's working, same thing. And the tests get less frequent, so you need a couple tests, maybe closer together in the beginning to make sure you're on track. Balance out, you hardly need a test, like an annual physical, only for a nutrition checkup or a nutrition fitness checkup kind of thing. Okay, rechecking, and then they fix it. The lab does all the work. They have millions of people, they pop the computer on. It's really the interpretation that counts, not just the test. It's what you do with the test. By the way, if anybody has any questions at any time, go ahead.
Do you believe, what are your thoughts on the alkaline diet?
Some people need more alkalinity, some people need less. It's again a very individual thing. So, like for Dan, because his calcium's high, he's already running alkaline, so he needs to stay away from too much alkalinity. You know, I don't want to name names, I'll get in trouble because of YouTube. I spoke for people that make alkaline water, and they have a way to adjust it. So they considered my technology, or our technology, a shortcut to knowing if they needed more or less, lower pH. Which is kind of cool when you think about it. So if you're full of calcium and magnesium and other alkaline minerals, because it's all about alkaline and acidity. Alkaline slows things down, acidity speeds them up. But there's a balance of the two. So we can figure out, do you need more neutral water or more alkaline? For me, I thrive on alkaline water. Lindy back there, she can't do it because she's a little more alkaline than I am. But you can tell from this. So you can help yourself to do the right thing. And if you have too much alkalinity, when your body chemistry is already alkaline, you can damage your kidneys. That's what happens all the time.
Because I've always been trying to get the more alkaline vegetables and more alkaline foods.
But it's a mixture. See, even with antioxidants and oxidants, it's real tricky. People don't understand. If you're in balance, it's all about reduction oxidation chemistry, okay? So your body, if it has the right things present, will take antioxidants and oxidants, and they actually can convert one to the other. You don't realize that. But a lot of people take so many antioxidants, it crowds the oxidants out. So it creates iron. Like iron is the third strongest oxidant. It's the third strongest oxidant in the body. If you take too many antioxidants, it can create anemia because it suppresses iron. And vice versa too. Iron can make you need more alkalinity if you have a lot of high iron retention. And by the way, too much iron can cause cancer. I mean, even a good thing can be a bad thing in excess. So far so good. Any other questions? I take them at the end too. Dan, do you want to say?
I don't know if this is the right time, but at some point I'd like to talk a little bit about sugar, alcohol, and smoking.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. My goodness. Yes. Yes, we talked about it in the back, didn't we? The salt, the sugar, no, not you, but you back there. Sorry. You guys. Okay, so the good, the bad, and the ugly. What am I talking about now? Okay. We want to use science to be our guide. Okay, but there's, you see him? You see Starbuck? He's in the back, right there.
Sleeping.
Oh, he's sleeping, that lady.
Taking a rest.
He's a rescue. Lindy and I rescued him. He actually did, believe it or not, nutrition testing was invented for animals at the turn of the century to keep animals alive in the zoos and make horses run faster and make livestock grow bigger and stronger and not get sick as often. And by the way, Dr. Roger Williams in the 40s said, hey, why don't we use these tests on humans? Hey, great idea, you know? That's how it got going. I feel like Rodney Dangerfield when they did it. But it's honestly. So, this is one of the bad things. Have you ever heard of coral calcium? Kevin Trudeau. You know, he's banned from ever doing another infomercial. There's a reason for that. Because he was pushing calcium on people so much and trying to claim it would do all these things, and it created problems. It actually created, the FDA got into it and they said, wait a second, I mean, there are sick people. We tested people, I have a thing over here if you guys want to see later. I actually have a woman that we tested that was taking coral calcium, and her calcium was in tissue outside the bone was the highest I'd ever seen in my life. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, I'm taking coral calcium. And she had like 30 disease tendencies, mostly because the calcium was throwing everything else off. Right? That was just one of, I don't know how many people wolfing down the calcium thinking that's the magic bullet, right? The secret to life. That's the way it was described, was it not? Calcium does everything. No. It's a push-pull system. Everything weighed against the middle is what really makes you or breaks you. Okay? You can't even make a vitamin without organizing. This is the reason multiples don't work. If you want a vitamin to increase in your body, this is why we call it biocorrective. Let's say potassium, you gotta deal with B6, you gotta increase B1 along with the B6. You gotta put some methionine in there. You gotta take away the calcium and the potassium and the sodium. Otherwise, they'll cancel each other out. That's what most multiples do. The Haynes 1, 2, 3, and 4 studies show that, well, it's even more than this now because I don't have the last stat, but over 58% of America are taking so many of the wrong vitamins by taking multiples and whatever they're taking. They're doing more harm than good. That's a study. 40 years. Just because they don't test it, they don't see what you really need. And then double check it, make sure it's working. See if the lab gets paid. So, tell you a couple quick stories. We got tons of stories and more questions if anybody has. This gal, she's one of our longest running clients. Her husband worked for NASA. He's an incredible guy. She's a powerhouse. She's like 88 now, I think. And realize we have a lot of older people on our program that aren't on any medications or anything. They're off everything. Yeah, she's a good example. And she was tested by UCLA for her biological age. They did DEXA scans and all. It was a birthday present from her husband. I guess he wanted to know how old am I? 82 years old. They said 49. She's been on this forever. I guess probably one of our oldest clients. So just, yeah, which amazed everybody. And you think UCLA would call me up and say, hey, what are you doing? Well, I ended up, she gave me the name of a doc. I called up, he gets on the phone and he says, good job. I said, hey, don't you want to know what I'm doing? He goes, no, just keep up the good work. I love what you're doing. He didn't even know what I was doing. Click, that was it. Right? Right. Okay, so this is Dan's whole angle. He says, okay, everybody's good because of meeting Dan and Maria and Linda and all the, and well, a lot of people here. Everybody's going to have millions of dollars, but really, what about your health? I've seen some very wealthy people that can barely move. That's not the way to live. If you're going to live to be 166, it's going to be important you make some money. But it's going to be even more important that you remember your name in the morning.
Yeah. Remember you have the money.
That's why we're here. So we consider it. You know, in the excitement of the moment, I forgot your wonderful quote from that guy with the book about wealth and health. I'm sorry.
Napoleon Hill.
I'm sorry?
Napoleon Hill?
Napoleon Hill. You know, the whole point is it doesn't make sense how much money you have in the bank if you don't have, you know, your health bank straightened out. So that's what this is all about.
No health, no wealth.
No health, no wealth. So, and again, I was just using murals. It is considered to be the fountain of youth and wellness. Remember the, well, the Hunters live to be 100 plus. You know, the Arizona biosphere we should live to be 166. Right now, our average life expectancy is 78.8. Actually, that's better, but they're counting the use of drugs to keep people who should have died in that. It used to be about 72, but thanks to some new meds and some antibiotics and other things thrown in, they're actually getting a little more lifespan, but nobody's equating quality of life. Now, here's the sickest thing, the craziest thing. I went to the World Health Organization and looked up life expectancy for our country and all the other countries just recently. In 1970, we were 5th in the world for life expectancy. Anybody know what we are now? 5th in the world, longest life expectancy. Okay, longest life in the whole world out of all the countries tested, which was quite a bit. 30. Good, 39th. 39th. It's not working, guys. Quality of life, I don't know, I think we've down the, you know, and then when you look at these, I get people like I have a guy in South Africa. I hope he sees this. You know, he says, what's wrong with you? I have satellite TV, I watch WGN television, you know, Chicago, and there's all these drug commercials. What are you guys, a bunch of drug zombies? I go, yeah, that's really, and we don't know any better because you're not being told by people who should be responsible for us because they're not being responsible. They're giving us quick fixes, but they're not thinking the long-term consequences. That's the reality. Okay? And even if they do, I don't think they really care as much as we'd like. So what are we going to do? We're going to get to the truth. It's not about belief. It's not about religion. It's not about philosophy. It's about a test what it says and what to do with it. Does that make sense? So, because I have people that say, well, I believe in alkaline water. I go, what is that? Is this a religious thing you're telling me? Belief is, you know. How about we test it and figure out how much or how little is right for you? Doesn't that make more sense? Oh, yeah. And you can make anything sound logical. You know, I've gone to these presentations where they use bioscanners to try to figure out all this technology that's junk. Realize I have to look at the journals so I know. And, you know, they can make it sound like, oh, yeah, you know, if there's a certain amount of melanin in your skin, you know, your antioxidants are just right or not right. It sounds logical, and they can put some, but it's not. It's your test that counts. We're after the truth. That's all that matters. How many places can you get the truth? certainly not watching the news or reading the Times. And you don't know where to get the truth. So the whole idea is to have no more guesswork. When you do what we do, nutrient management technology, right, you just won't have to worry about, is this bad or good? Because you're going to have it all figured out for you, right? And that leads to no more one size fits all. Okay, when you know the right foods and supplements to consume, you stay well. When you don't, you get sick. Now, everybody who's got any disease, any condition, anything that anybody related to that we've talked about, there are distinct nutrient relationships that start before that disease begins, or if you don't recover. Go ahead.
Does this work for children?
Oh, God, please, I wish. We try to get it into schools, but the lawyers want to, sue everybody if they find a bunch of toxic stuff in the kids. So everybody's afraid. I could tell you some stories about that. The lawyers are ruining this because they want to use this as, in fact, they do now, as a weapon to sue people for having toxic accumulation in their bodies. Well, the kid's full of mercury. Blame it on the school. That's who I mean, it's crazy stuff like that. And it's sad because, we need lawyers, kind of, and then we don't. It depends. So that's the essence of it all. And that leads to freedom about what you need to know to be your best. And then that's when the real challenge begins, right?
You got it.
Because you might have an addiction to Burger King or something. You might have
No, it's out of Santa Barbara.
Oh, okay.
And
So
it's
your
big.
solution is to move further away from Burger King so you don't go to it? Is that it?
National Bars LLC.
Okay. At any rate, so, all right. And the idea is to save money and time. You know how I have people, I've actually had, and I'm going back, my highest, client with the most amount of money spent on vitamins and things, $1,500 a month.
Oh, wow.
And had one of the worst tests. Go, wait, he goes, what's going on here? I go, I'm taking all this good stuff. I go, no, it's not matched for you. She goes, I have 40 disease tendencies. What's wrong? You go, too much of the wrong thing, not enough of the right. That's all it is. Less is better if you know what you need. And the better you get, the less vitamins and other things you need. The less this becomes such a hassle, the less testing. That's the goal. So the idea is to get into the best shape ever. He's pushing out a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what they do, right? But it pushes the point. So this is an opportunity to help improve. And by shape, you don't mean just the shape of your outside body, but the shape of your inside body, okay? Because you can't judge a book by its cover. Some people that don't look as shapely as some other people are generally can be healthier. Then we have people that have godlike figures that are, have leukemia. I mean, it's more than just what it is on the outside, okay? So, did you need?
Oh, I was just going to ask you a question.
Oh.
So, is the answer really no to sugars and alcohol and smoking and all those? I mean, what's the deal with that stuff?
What your body can tolerate, we'll figure it out. Some people can have a couple of drinks a day and it doesn't do any harm. As an example, alcohol eats up magnesium. So a lot of people who drink a lot of alcohol, they deplete their magnesium. So we actually resupply the body with more of the magnesium so they actually can get away with drinking more, if you look at it that way. It's the same for drugs. Like you've heard of Lipitor uses up your coenzyme Q10. You guys heard of coenzyme Q10? And so they say take coenzyme Q10 when you take this drug. Well, we're doing the same thing. Whatever the drug or whether prescription or not is doing to you, we're putting the nutrients in that it distorts. So drugs use up certain nutrients faster than other nutrients, so it creates an imbalance. So we're going to put back the ones, we'll see from the test, that your body's losing and take away the ones that it's building up. That's all we have to do to get it back in balance. So definitely. Those things in general, probably salt, sugar, alcohol, not enough water, right? Those things do probably more damage on a generic level than almost anything. Go ahead.
My second follow-up was how much hair evidence do you really need for the test? Just a little bit or?
Yeah, they give you a little scale. It's like,
okay.
Yeah, it's not much. Okay, so just a few testimonials to spice the pot. We're getting towards the end here. So just a few people who came forward and said, I like this thing, put it in print, I don't care. Rookie of the year, I don't know if any of you guys play golf. He's one of the guys. Dolph Lundgren, remember Dolph? Tarago? Larry Wilcox, he came forward, he says, good, it's all right, finally. Some other people, Cliff from IHOP, even he did the program. Remember Cliff from IHOP? Other people, we just put a few up here. Pete Uber, of course, he was an endorsement. Joe Weider, all these magazines. I used to write series called Super Training and other things. Fabio even liked this. Remember Fabio? What did he say? What did he say, Lindy? Lindy, he said, "Tell everybody that Fabio loves his hair test," or something. So he sent out an email. This is one of the people that Southern California Allergy Research Institute. It's huge. He's the head of our advisory, of our medical department, George. He's got all these awards, 5 of them, now he's getting his 6th one. People in higher places like what we do. Bruce Lipton, what the bleep do we know? He's on their website. He's one of our board members. Danny Inosanto, karate guy, Bruce Lee's partner, a lot of karate guys.
Oh, yeah.
You know Danny? You know? Unreal, lethal weapon. So, anybody wants to take the test, we dare you. If you think you're in really good shape and we're not going to find anything wrong, you're going to be one of the, what, 1.3% of America that's got a perfect test free of charge. But if we do, I know, Dan, you were disappointed.
I wasn't betting on it.
But just so you know, so in the, you know, you'll know because the lab will print it. It's got nothing to do with me. I just read what the lab says and it prints it out, tells you all about what's going on. And so now you guys, I think, paid $399.95.
Yeah.
Got it this way. So we're offering, because of Dan and Maria and everybody here, we're offering it for the $259.95. Retests are lowered. The vitamins or whatever they are, and we recommend usually 3-4 months sometimes, and retest down the road. And so we would start with that first test. It just involves, obviously we can get you set up here. We have kits if you'd like to take them, and we can just send them out to you. It takes about 5 days to get results. Once we have the test, it's all done by email and phone. Go ahead.
The video that you showed earlier
Yes.
actually showed the amount of hair that they cut off in the video,
Yes.
and it's not very much. Believe me, I didn't
Well, it
lose
depends.
this
You
from
had
hair
heavy
test.
hair. Not from the front. No. So, and we're not going to test it for anything but minerals. Okay? So don't have to
Oh,
worry.
yeah.
So yeah, so we so we have this. Anybody that gets a test today too, I'll give you a free book. And that's again because of Maria. Guys, go ahead.
You only test for minerals, why not vitamins?
Because they've cross-correlated minerals and vitamins, aminos, and fatty acids, and found that you can't test the others without knowing your minerals. And then they backtrack the program down so that they figure when you, like if calcium and magnesium are separated by a certain amount, it will show on a B6 test. So why pay for the extra test? It's just an economized way. If you want to do other tests, we can do them, but why mess with perfection? 60-some-odd% of people balance everything else out from this. Now, if it doesn't work right or some area of mineral balance doesn't work, it'll tell us you might need another test because something's going on. So we can do that, but for most people, this program pretty much does it all. And it's, again, you're building a house from the ground up. So you cannot, and I found this out the hard way in Malibu too, you can't fix a vitamin without fixing its corresponding mineral. Okay, because minerals, it's all about enzymology, real simply. These enzymes react, or the reactants in the body, there's about 2,300 pathways in your body. They're all run by enzymes. The minerals make the enzymes, they trigger the enzymes, and vitamins work secondary to them. So if they're not there in the first place, you can put all the vitamins you want in your body, but it'll just come out like there's no tomorrow. And that's a big mistake that a lot of doctors don't realize. Because they'll do, I'm just doing a vitamin test. Well, I'm just doing an allergies. I'm just doing no, that's fragmentation. We have to start from where you get the biggest bang for the buck, financially, and the most information for the least amount of testing. That's why this is the most popular nutrition test in the world, bar none. Okay, that's why it's in all those countries, and it puts everything on the table for you. So we will figure out if you need something else. If you don't respond, I'll be the first one. It'll show it right there. So it's like your master test. It's like the entry level test to know the most for the least amount of testing.
You use the example also of you and Dan splitting an orange, and the absorption of vitamin C might be different.
Way
And you
different.
said
It's
it could
amazing.
have to do with timing. And how does that correlate with your recommended retesting?
Good question. That's one of the reasons we use here, because it's going to give us 2-3 months worth of what's been going on average. So it doesn't give you, fluctuations like blood or urine, which they're no good anyway. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was that?
So hair compared to blood testaments.
Yeah, blood just tells you what's in the blood at the moment. It can change, based on what you've eaten. It's not reliable for minerals. It's reliable for a couple fat-soluble vitamins, but it doesn't reflect what cells are using. This test does. See, that's what we want to know, what the cells are actually being, what they're
Being
using.
productive.
Right, actually utilizing, kicking off or using. It's a stopgap for that. It tells us what's being kicked out and what's being used. It's amazing. Blood doesn't do that.
So
For
you
this.
offer a more natural solution.
It's all natural. We don't want you to be on any drugs at any time, and if you are on the drugs, we want to fix it so that you get
Stop it.
the best results from the drug for the least amount of that drug and not do any more damage to your body if possible. And we get people off their meds. Pardon?
Reverse.
Reverse, yes.
So are all the mineral imbalances due to what we put into our body? Is there anything external?
Well, everything
Or,
external, yes. I mean, what gets onto you gets into you as much as what you eat. Is that what you mean? But it's all based,
Like, for example,
120
the one that you
minerals.
gave the example of the headaches that you determined were
Right.
caused by mercury.
Right.
Is it all food that was being consumed?
Yeah, it was just, that person was absorbing and retaining mercury at a higher rate than they should have been. And that's just because other nutrients are out of place that would keep the mercury out, plus they were overloaded with mercury-rich foods, accidentally. So, if that makes any sense. Pardon?
I had heavy like poisoning from the teeth.
The teeth. A lot of people from the teeth, and mercury has a half-life of 27 years. So once it gets stuck somewhere because your liver can't deal with it, it can stay there for 27, half-life. It can be there your whole life, and it wears out. It comes out in your system in spurts. It damages your genes. It can, hurt your nerves. It's just, it messes with your whole system. It's a chain reaction. You can't take one vitamin without creating all these other secondary changes in the other ones, or mineral. I'm sorry. I've got all these questions. This is great. I'm sorry, maybe this guy?
Do you prefer liquid vitamins versus digestive? Because you lose some of your digestive system.
They try, they don't work. They have to go all from New Zealand. They import the food that they make the vitamins from. They have to go through all these tricks just to make the vitamins work. And they found that liquid doesn't work because it oxidizes things too easily. They can't really make a biocorrective formula from a liquid yet, but it's coming. And then from the skin, it's coming. It's good. So liquid isn't always the answer either. I'm sorry, what was, Lindy? What was that?
Yeah, but also, once the test finds out you have an excess of mercury or whatever, we do have different types of supplements that gets it out of your system very quickly. So even though it can take 27 years to stay in your system, we have things that gets it out very, very fast.
Matter of weeks.
Yeah.
We have extra booster things too.
Cool.
I'm sorry, you want to ask questions?
Yeah, the lab that you're using, how many labs are like that? Do you see more labs coming online, or is it?
It's one of a kind. There are labs, it's funny because it's kind of become the supreme leader. Everybody tries to copy them, So, and it really started with a lab in this California, but they went to Texas, the guy who worked there, 2 doctors, and it's an amazing story. But he's, there's one lab that leads all the, I'm talking millions to thousands compared to the other labs. So we use that, and the only reason they are so popular is because they do it all. And they've been medically, and they're registered, so why mess with second best, or fifth best, or whatever you want to call it. So that's why we use this lab. Trust me, we could do any lab we wanted, but this was the one, it's for this one.
When you do the test and you run into problems trying to solve somebody's situation, what are usually the things that come up that you find out?
Oh, everybody's different, but always, imbalances of every kind. About a third of what we test is either too high or too low, causing all these secondary conditions that lead to the big time disease, which we try to head off at the pass. We have at least 3 heavy metals on average at a rate where it's really hurting you that show up. We have, I think 82% of America are now slow 1 metabolisms, when 82% were fast 50 years ago when they first started this one.
Can you, through some of this stuff, ever kind of like change your metabolism, or do you just find ways to adapt
From
to
slow
it?
to fast, yes.
Okay.
We want to do that, yes.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry, were there other questions I missed? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
How long have you been doing it?
Forever, 30 years, something like that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I should be, in my family, I should be bald. There's a few things you don't know. And,
Donate your hairline.
yeah, and you can see, you know my age, you can see Lindy, she's been doing this forever. Always marry older women, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so, but it's quality of life. It's really just not a number, it's how you feel and how you look for yourself. And anybody else had a question real quick? Yeah, sorry? Oh, you want to have?
Would it help somebody that has like blockages, like?
Oh, yeah. calcium, you know, like atherosclerosis, arteriosclerosis.
Kind of like they've had a heart attack.
Oh,
and-
yes.
And blood clots, that sort of thing, or if they have blockages.
Every
now.
time, you name it. This was actually invented first and foremost for heart disease, which was the #1 killer of humankind.
What
So,
about diabetes?
oh, absolutely, oh God. Diabetes was right behind it. That's